So, a nutrient to watch on a plant-based diet is calcium. After using a chronometer to analyze my nutrient intake for a course a couple years ago in a nutrition course I was taking, I was kind of surprised to find that my calcium intake was consistently low. So I wondered, where are all the related species getting their calcium? Because I noticed when I analyzed it that the fruits that I was eating were consistently showing low levels of calcium, and because I was looking for where am I going to eat more, I found out that if I lean kind of on the dried herbs, that they're pretty concentrated in calcium, and so I'd already excluded adding salt to my diet, but just going heavy on the dried herbs kind of gives the salads flavor, maybe not miss the salt that I've been craving anyway. But yeah, well, the closest related species, the chimps, bonobos, orangutans, and gorillas, they all, as a staple food, eat figs. And figs are moderately high. They're high in iron or calcium and iron, but in calcium compared to most fruit. And this is the fruit, their staple food. That among chimps anyway, they eat more figs than anything else. I found out there's over 700 species of figs, and that they are available year-round in their natural habitats. So they wouldn't have as much calcium trouble as we do, those who adopt plant-based diets for that reason, it seemed. There would be other aspects too. If they're breastfeeding for a good while, that might help their absorption of iron in the future potentially. But anyway, I'm speculating there. There's some evidence to show that some nutrients, at least with iron, they can have high iron stores well after breastfeeding, if they've done that. But anyway, iron is, although it's a pretty common nutrient, is a very common mineral. The plant-based dieters are typically moderately low in iron, but in developed countries there is problems with iron overload, or most people have high iron levels despite the low levels of vitamin C. Iron being another nutrient that's low in not in high availability among plant-based diets. But anyway, the pawpaw does have pretty good levels of iron as well, at least compared to like bananas, apples, and oranges. And I got a chart I'll show you to compare. There are other nutrients like protein and fat is relatively high in pawpaw compared to like bananas. It's been compared to banana in terms of the completeness of its nutritional profile. So you've heard people say bananas like the perfect food, or a complete food. But pawpaw is very comparable to banana, and it actually supplements bananas in a lot of ways. So these nutrients that I speak of, like, it has higher fat and protein, a little less carbs compared to a banana. It has higher iron and calcium than most fruit, especially compared to a banana. So where this would be great food for anybody to integrate who's not allergic to it in their diets, and I'm not giving nutritional advice, you can see a health practitioner for that. But this would be a very tasty food to integrate into anybody's diet. Among those who are eating plant-based diets, this would be especially helpful to kind of complement their diet because of the relatively high levels of nutrients that are not as common in fruits as they are in animal-centric diets. And we living in an animal-centric market, this can be overlooked or taken for granted for the general population. But among vegans, plant-based dieters, fruitarians, get on the pawpaw. Get with the program. This is great. It tastes like rich mango mousse, heavy like a custard, really. So I'll crack it open in a minute and talk a little bit more about that. But just a little bit more about the background with the pawpaw. It does have antioxidant effects, and it's been shown to inhibit omega-3 oxidation. I talked in a recent video about a polyphenol, which is a type of phytonutrient, the most commonly found in human diets, with over 500 different phytonutrients available in vegetables and plants. 50 or so, or over 50 are polyphenols, and they're the most common, the most voluminous in human diets. There's a few of note in pawpaws, and I've mentioned one in a recent video where I sliced open a pawpaw and I talked about it. But pea coumaroyal is the one antioxidant that I kind of singled out. I went through a list of most of the antioxidant activity, but I kind of cut it short on that. And there's much more nutritional benefits to these phytonutrients that I alluded to before. There's also PCA, it's abbreviated, it's protocatechuic acid, another antioxidant, and even a longer list of antioxidant activity that's been demonstrated in studies for that, PCA that is. And just to kind of run through them, the antioxidant activity includes antibacterial activity, anti-cancer activity, anti-ulcer activity, anti-diabetic activity, anti-aging activity, anti-fibrotic, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, and analgesic, anti-atherosclerotic activity, cardiac activity, hepatoprotective activity, neurological, and nephroprotective activity. I'll get to neurological stuff in just a minute. It's pretty interesting stuff, I think. Additionally, other bioactives include anti-mutagenic, that is an anti-ulcer, anti-platelet aggregation. Some of these are overlapping. Anti-cardiac activity would be probably anti-platelet aggregation. And it also reduces UV-induced damage to ocular tissues. It also reduces gout symptoms. Now, and a little more specifically with the anti-diabetic activity, it does inhibit the glucose, the amylase activity in absorbing the glucose. That is in addition to the effect that fiber has in insulin response and improving insulin response, and as it modulates the glucose absorption. But back to the neurological activity. It possesses anxiolytic activities that are exhibited in tests on the pawpaw, and that is the GABAergic activity. GABA is the main neurotransmitter for inhibiting responses. It is associated with relaxation and reducing neuronal excitation, which can come about through head injuries or extreme stress or trauma or seizure activity. But anyway, I thought that was interesting, the neurological activity of the pawpaw. So often compared to banana in the nutritional profile, much tastier. You're not going to. So why isn't it more popular? It only has a short shelf life of a couple days and maybe up to a week in the fridge. This one has been in my fridge for about a week, but it was just barely ripe when I got it. So not many places you can get this. I ordered it online along with some other varieties. This variety is called the Overlease variety, and I looked up the varieties that I received from this. How do we say, vendor online, and yeah, these varieties that I received are among the top 15 cultivars that exist. In the wild, you wouldn't normally find them quite this big. This is moderately large, but they could get a little bit larger. Like I said, I think I mentioned that. But so here are the seeds. When I've taken them out to pretty good sized seeds, and in the wild, you're going to get a larger seed to fruit ratio. These are kind of low in seeds, but that's what you want if you want more fruit, as long as you're getting the trees that you need to supply the seeds. And I will put this whole, I've dried them, washed them out, and these will go, keeping them in this bag here, separate, labeled, so I know what's what. Because I've got some varieties that are larger than this, some that have less seeds, some that just taste better, but this is excellent taste to this. They all have a little bit different flavor. But yeah, this will go, I'll take those seeds, I'll put them in a Ziploc bag, like I've already started to do with some of the others, as I've been eating them, and put a little moist soil in there, just kind of mix it up there, and they'll stay in the fridge for 90 to 120 days, and then I'll find some sprouts out of that, and I'll plant those. They need some chill hours. So interestingly enough, this has these tropical flavors that it has. Maybe, and actually it tastes a lot like jackfruit too. Jackfruit, mango, banana flavors. You get that with these. But it's in the Annona family, and Asimina is the genus name. And so among the Asimina species, or genus, there's about 7 species. I think I've mentioned that. But the Annona family includes custard apple, cherimoya, sweet sop, sour sop. So what I've just rattled off there, for those who are serious plant-based dieters, or even if you're not, these are among, if you ask fruit connoisseurs, among the best tasting fruits in the world. The Annona family. Get to know it, get a hold of it. If you've gone vegan or plant-based, and then ditched the diet for whatever reason, and you haven't even heard of this stuff, it might be a sign that you might not have given it a fair chance in terms of the flavors that you can get from these species, if not the nutrients. But I would be suspicious of somebody who's given a vegan diet or a plant-based diet a fair shot and has no idea what I'm talking about when I speak of the Annona family of fruits. Those in South America, you don't have to be a fruitarian to know what I'm talking about when I start talking about these fruits. But in America, and actually in South America, you don't have access to this unique flavor among these Annona fruits, because it only grows in North America, and with a short shelf life. If you don't live in America, there's a high probability that you've never tried one of these and never will. But do you owe yourself that? And like I say, it'll open up some doors because it does supplement a plant-based diet wonderfully. And so it kind of goes under the radar, I think, in an omnivorous, animal-centric market, because you can get iron, you can get calcium in other ways, but those are a little bit harder to find, as well as the relatively high fat and protein content relative to the carbohydrate content in it. But anyway, supplements a vegan diet wonderfully. So don't wait. Get a hold of this. The fruit is available now. I'm gonna kind of slice right into it. I'm gonna pull it apart here. There it is, rich, gooey, creamy, soft, and yeah, I mean, it's just so appealing. The scent is really pleasant. Tropical flavors in this. And you were talking about fruit that grows all the way up into Canada. I know places it's naturalized in Canada. I don't know if it's native to Canada, but there are forests in Canada where you can get them along the river, where they've been potentially spread by so-called Native Americans or indigenous populations in the past. But yeah, it is growing up in Canada. It does grow up in Canada, and if it's not native, it's naturalized anyway in many parts of Canada, especially towards the Great Lakes and along the coastal areas where it's a little bit more temperate. But yeah, grows well into Canada actually. Delicious stuff. And yeah, I can eat pounds of this every day. Really nutritious and delicious. So this is the overleaf variety. I've also got a just here with me. Wow, breakfast, dinner, dessert, good, great, anytime, good stuff. Got another variety here called the Pennsylvania Golden. It's definitely in the top 10 list of cultivars. This is a good tasting one. Absolutely delicious. Don't wait to try this stuff. And if you're gonna say you've done a plant-based diet, given it a fair shot, this is the kind of stuff you really owe it to yourself to try and really kind of appreciate all that a plant-based diet can offer with fruits like these. So I'm just gonna kind of scan as I wind down here, and I'll post my references to this stuff in the video. But let me just switch my screen and just flashing a chart here, just to give you kind of an overview of the completeness of the nutritional profile here, relative to bananas, and it's compared to apples and oranges. And like I said, I'll post my reference. So switching over my screen here. I think I can do it with a click of the button here. Kind of getting the hang of it. So here you see, okay, going down the list, less calories than banana. Keep that in mind. You know, that's much less. We're talking about, what's that, about 14% difference in reduced calories. Yet, we're seeing, you know, relatively high, when you compare it with other fruit, relatively high protein and fat. And these are in grams. It's not, we're not doing percentage here, actually. Yeah, relatively high in fiber as well. Look at the vitamin A, you know, compared to these others. It's just like 10, almost 11 times higher than banana, and much more than an apple and orange as well. Oh, orange has more actually. But when we get to some of these others, potassium right up there with banana. There's your calcium, 6.5 times higher than banana. Yeah, and so they're highlighted in darker. They're rubricated here where the higher levels compared to these other fruits. So if you look at it and compare to these other three, I mean, half of your highest values are within the pawpaw, and we're talking out of 4 different fruits as you go down the line. When you, of course, you know, they're broken down the amino acids. Most of them are higher in pawpaw because it's just overall relatively high protein content. So where did I see the calcium? I showed you that. Where did I see the iron? Yeah, kind of iron. Yeah, it kind of blows away the iron content in the other foods. So some of the minerals, it's higher than, not just these but others. Zinc, copper, yeah, manganese, much higher. So same as iron. So many of the minerals that you'd find more often in animal products are relatively high, and so that's why this would supplement a plant-based diet nicely. So anyway, leave your comments, share your thoughts, and thanks for watching.